What's up, my guys? Welcome to episode 16 of the My Guys Magic podcast. I'm here with my boy Pete Williams.
What's
Say
up,
what's
my
up.
guys?
Yeah, so we're finally here on Riverside recording like adults, and hopefully this turns out well. Hopefully the audio is much improved. Might even have some snazzy video for YouTube, but we'll see. We'll see how that all pans out. Um, yeah, Pete. So PT Richmond is in the books.
Yup.
How'd that go? Pretty good.
Yeah. It was very enjoyable. I think one of the best PTs we've ever seen.
Yeah. So I think for today we're going to kind of recap the PT, discuss a few other MTGO events, and we'll probably start by just discussing what we predicted would happen, and then what actually happened, and then we'll probably close out with some of our testing for the upcoming RC. And with that, Pete, you want to kind of give us a quick rundown on upcoming events?
Yeah, so this weekend we have Spotlight Lorwyn Eclipsed in Toronto, which will be limited. And then February 20th is RC Milwaukee, and also the RC in Canada is the same weekend. Those are both standard. So we'll see if the meta changes, how people adapt to the new decks from the Pro Tour. More will be revealed in about 3 weeks.
More to be revealed indeed, sir. So, let's first talk about what we predicted would happen for the PT and then what actually happened. So, Pete, I think we'll finish with you because your dream came the most true.
Yup.
But, so I said that I wanted Elementals to win, like a weird Elementals deck to win, but I thought that a Simic deck or some sort of Nature's Rhythm deck would win given how dominant it was in the meta, because we did have the metadata for day one available when we did our last cast, and Nature's Rhythm decks made up a third of the meta. Uh, so
Which,
Elementals, I think you would agree, performed pretty well, and there was a couple different versions. There was like the multicolored Elementals versions that I would say were pretty similar to what Jake Koenig ran at the RC, and then there was Spellmentals, right? Which is this newer take that was maybe a surprise, right? A new deck, is that fair to say? It was a completely new archetype.
yeah, that
Um,
you brewed up for the Pro Tour.
yeah, Eddie Mert Crab, trying to put a bunch of instants and sorceries in your graveyard, put Eddie Mert Crab on the battlefield, which is a 7 mana 5/5 with flash. That is also an elemental, and its cost is reduced by 1 for each instant and sorcery in your yard. And it taps down 2 guys. And then you can play Sunder Flock for 2 blue. It's super cheap, right? And then it was also playing,
Hearth
what's the
Elemental.
Hearth
Hearth.
Elemental? Yeah, which has an adventure of 1 and a red. Discard your hand, draw 2, right?
Yep.
And then it's a 6 or 7 mana 4/5 elemental. That's cost is also reduced by the number of instants and sorceries in your graveyard. And then it just plays, spot removal and sleight of hand, opt, etc. Um, but then, and Eduardo, I'm not going to mispronounce his last name, Canadian gentleman, um, made it to the semis on an elementals
Sag-
list.
Sagittic.
Sagilik, yeah. Um, Playing Winter Night Stories, right? Instead of Ashling's Command, basically. No um, Springleaf Drum, just Winter Night Stories. So pretty solid. Um, pretty solid
Yeah,
list,
yeah.
pretty solid performance overall. And then I said like maybe Bant Airbending would win. There was one Bant Airbending and one Rhythm deck that made it into the quarterfinals of the top 8, but the Cub decks were definitely hated out. So what do you think? How do you feel about your predictions though, Pete?
All right. So Um, I wanted Excruciator to win, so I'm super happy about that. Put two copies in the top eight, but this was before we even saw the deck lists. But my experience with Excruciator was the last time Javier was it Demir Demon's list. He won Worlds with it, and then so I proceeded to win an RCQ with it. So I said, why didn't I think of Spider-Man and Excruciator? Because I'm not as smart as Javier. But yeah, I wanted that to win, but I also said I thought Reanimator was going to win, so I kind of pooped the bed there.
Yeah, so you wanted Excruciator to win, which,
Yeah,
you got your wish in that regard. But obviously, Sultai Reanimator, I think, did the worst out of all the decks at the PT. Um, it had the lowest win rate, right?
yeah,
So let's jump into that. So,
yeah. It's Reanimator's not it anymore.
yeah, and Reanimator is not it.
Like
So,
I just played against Reanimator this morning with Excruciator. It's not even close.
yeah, you just absolutely wrecked them.
Yes, yeah.
Because you don't at all care about their bringer plan, right? You just want to put an Excruciator on the battlefield and attack with Restless Reef once, and the
Yeah.
game's over. So, yeah, so um, depending upon whether or not we get this video up, you'll be able to follow along directly with our conversation and the visual graphics we put together. If not, you can look in the show notes. There's a link to Dropbox that includes a link to a spreadsheet that has all the information and the visuals that we're going to discuss. We'll also reference, some MTG pages, probably mtgdex.net, and potentially some Optimus Tom data. But if you can follow along, great. So uh, we compiled data from January 30th, which was the beginning of the RC, up through today. And so there were two MTGO challenges: the Pro Tour, the Sunday Pro Tour qualifier that's only open to Pro Tour competitors that are not qualified for the next Pro Tour. And then there was also one other MTGO regional championship qualifier. So all in all, 797 players competed in those events over the course of the last 5 days, 6 days, and three of them were won by Demir Excruciator. How's that sound, Pete? Pretty excited?
Yeah, that sounds great to me.
Yeah,
I'm
and
just not looking forward to all the Excruciator mirrors. That's a that's a
def-
dance.
definitely a dance, but I'm sure you'll get familiar with it. And then one of them was won by Rakdos Monument, which our boy Miles Nasset was playing in Portland. And then one was also won by Teamer Harmonizer. I believe the Second Chance Pro Tour qualifier was won by Teamer Harmonizer, which
Yeah,
was the other deck in the finals at the Pro Tour, right? By Tony Portolon, if I'm not mistaken.
you
Is
were
that
not
right, Pete?
mistaken. You were
Yeah.
not
So
mistaken.
yeah, so pretty solid performance by a brand new deck as well. Looks pretty good. Just you need 4 mana and a sack land. So turn 5 kill if they tap out and don't have it, right? You just play a Might Form Harmonizer for its warp cost of 2 and a green. You hit it with a full bore, making it a 7/6 trampler with haste because it has warp. And then you play a Fletchland and double its power twice from 14 to 28 and attack with a hasty 28/7 or 28/6 trample hasty Might Form Harmonizer. Pretty nuts.
Yeah,
Not
it's pretty
not a lot
gross.
not a lot of people can deal with that. Then it's just playing stock ups and consult the star charts to make sure you can get both pieces of the combo, and then interaction to deal with your opponents.
Yeah,
Looks like a
everybody
serious deck.
everybody was pretty teched against Cub decks.
Absolutely. Yeah, I agree. Um, so I'm gonna just kind of run through the meta breakdown across you know, the events that includes the MTGO challenges over the last few days. So Spelementals was 16% of the meta in top eight across all these events. Now top 8% here, which is a little unusual from weeks past, does not. It includes all of the decks that scored 19 or more points, so 6 wins in a draw or better at the Richmond Pro Tour. So there were about 49 decks that had 19 points or more at the Pro Tour. Um, and we'll go through that breakdown in a little bit greater detail in a minute. But um, yeah, 14% Nature's Rhythm, so pretty good drop from the past. Um, you know, the Nature's Rhythm decks were something like 30%, but obviously at the PT it was a third of the metagame going in, and now it's only 15% of the top eight. So, and I think that this number is going to continue to drop um, going forward.
Unless they can somehow adapt to the new meta.
Yeah, and I think that there's a way, but probably Spell Pierce. It's the thing that comes to mind, right? Obviously, it doesn't stop Sunderflock, but we can talk about that a little bit. I mean, how would they adapt? What do you think is the way that they adapt to make it work?
I don't know because they're already on 4 Spider Sense, right?
Yeah, but those are mostly in the board. Like maybe they play one of them main.
Moving more to the main.
Yeah. And then Excruciator, 10% of that
Disdainful Stroke.
top performing
Disdainful
decks.
Stroke. We're
Yeah.
gonna see a lot more Disdainful Stroke.
But Disdainful Stroke doesn't stop Pyroclasm.
No, but it's good against Excruciator. It's good against Elementals if they don't have a cavern.
Yeah, probably pretty good against Spelementals, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So then 10% of the top performing decks, Excruciator was 10% of the top performing decks. Pretty good. And then what I classify here as Elementals is like the multicolor Elementals decks that are not doing the Superior Spider-Man and Reanimate aspects. So 6% there. 6% Is It Lessons. I think Is It Lessons will see an increase there um, because I think it has a good Excruciator matchup. It probably has a good Spelementals matchup as well because they're just trying to put these big creatures on the battlefield that I feel like Combustion Technique can easily deal with. Um, what do you think? You think that's true?
Yeah. I don't foresee Is It Lessons having a hard time there.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think that they have the same amount of card advantage. Otherwise, like Spelementals doesn't have Accumulate Wisdom, right? They don't have Artist Talent to sift through their deck and find the answers that they need. They have some cantrips to get them what they need, but I think that Is It Lessons um, has a better game plan, and Spelementals doesn't have the clock to beat it. And then you've got Dimir Mid, Mono Red, Teamer Harmonizer, Airbending, Boros Dragons. What's up with this Boros Dragons deck? It's Dimir Control, Jeskai Control, Rakdos Monument, and Superior Elementals all between 4 and 5%. So Superior Elementals is a multicolor Elementals list that is playing some number of Superior Spider-Man in order to play a 4/4 body on turn 4 and then get one of several pretty decent elemental abilities. I think the Wistfulness, draw 2, discard is pretty good. I think the Thoughtseize And if you have a deceit, you can thought seize and bounce. And they're playing vibrance, so you can play a 4/4 and bolt something. It's pretty solid.
Yeah. Yeah. Deceit's still my favorite.
And then Azorius control, mono green landfall, Azorius aggro, Boros burn, Esper pixie, omniscience, and reanimator, making up 1 to 2% of the meta. So some things to consider.
Yes, Spider-Man's just a great card.
Yeah,
Superior Spider-Man.
yeah. I
It
think
does
its floor is a 4 mana 4/4, which is just very good. And then
it just does so much.
right, it's like a crazy clone. It allows you to kind of build these decks where you can discard your threats into the graveyard, or if they get countered, you know. Yeah, Pete and I have been running a number of games where he's been playing Excruciator and I've been playing Elementals, and he's able to get something out of my graveyard, and it's it's pretty good. It's pretty good. It's pretty good. Um, so let's kind of talk about the PT meta and how that all flushed out over time, over the course of the event, in terms of the best performing decks, and then their conversion from their day one percentage into the best performing decks. And so in the spreadsheet, I basically just sorted everything by the most popular decks on day one for what I considered to be a Nature's Rhythm deck. It included, just the Simic Ouroboros, Simic Rhythm decks, the 4-color and 5-color Rhythm decks. I just put them all together, and it's about 33.6% of the field. Pretty, lopsided. We were going in. Badger Mo Cubs broken. We even had some ban talks. Obviously, people were able to sidestep it and come up with a plan that beat it handily. I don't know how this is going to persist in the future. We were kind of discussing some of that, but I think it's going to be fair to say that at Portland, there will not be, this amount of Nature's Rhythms deck. Nature's
Milwaukee,
Rhythms deck, right? Oh, I'm
Milwaukee, you
sorry,
mean, right?
Milwaukee. Yeah, my mistake.
Oh, I'm sure. With all these new decks, it's gonna be a lot of new. The meta will be completely different than Portland.
Yeah, so here are our notes that we took while we were testing yesterday, and we kind of talked about how what we predicted the metagame would look like for Milwaukee based on these results. And I think that it's, there's 2 more weeks where this could change. So we'll have to see how it all goes. Um, but we'll talk about that after we discuss this. So Reanimator was 10%, 10.8%. Bant Airbending 6.5. Spell Elementals 4.9. Is It Lessons 4.2. Demir Mid 3.6. And then you had Elementals, Superior Elementals, Excruciator, Jeskai Control, Esper Pixie. Is It Looting, all in between 2 and 3%. Teamer Harmonizer, Azorius Control, Demir Control, Omniscience, Mono Red Aggro, Azorius Aggro, Rakdos Monument, all around 1 to 2%. And then Other made up about 16% of the meta. And so for decks that made it to 19 plus points, I tabulated their percentage of that, of those number of decks, which I said again was, I think is 49 decks. And I just pulled that from MTG Top 8. They always do a pretty good job of listing the best performing standard decks based on their constructed record. And so 20% of those decks were Nature's Rhythm. So day one meta went from 33.6 to 20%. So basically 60% conversion. So less than 1, not very good. And then Reanimator had the worst of the conversions.
Yep, don't remind me.
0.19. It was essentially, it was one deck of the top 50 performing decks at the PT. One deck was Sultai Reanimator. Um, Airbending did a little worse. 0.63 conversion, not very good. Spelementals, by and far, had the best conversion um, with a deck that was widely played. It, basically, it increased its percentage from day one into the top performing decks by a factor of 4. Um,
Yeah, that's impressive.
yeah, so and I looked at the names of the people that were playing those lists, and there was a lot of good players in that list that were on Spelementals. I think it was obviously very well suited to beat this meta full of Nature's Rhythm. Um, but I think it wasn't able to close out top 8 because I'm assuming it doesn't have a good Excruciator matchup. I can't imagine the Elementals uh, list is very good because their spot removal isn't good against the Elementals creatures. Sunderflock doesn't work against them, so probably not great there. And then we already discussed how Is It Lessons is going to whoop on that deck. So
Yeah, I
I
think
think
it's a
that
massive dog to Excruciator.
yeah. Is It Lessons basically had like a 1-to-1 conversion. Um, Although we saw a big drop in that because of how it performed at Portland, I think people are aware of it. They know how to play against it. They know how to combat it. But I think the hyper reaction to Nature's Rhythm decks and that coming allowed them to, you know, regain some traction and do fairly well. So, if you have a 1-to-1 conversion from day one into the top performing constructed decks, I would say that's a win. You did good, right?
Yes.
Demir mid, slightly overperformed, um, and then the Elementals decks did, in my view, pretty well. Spelementals, superior Elementals with superior Spider-Man, and then the multicolored Elementals. I just lumped them all together here. Um, they were each of those decks were about 2.3% of day one, and then in the top performing constructed decks they were over 6%, 6.1% each. So a conversion factor of over 2.6. So pretty good. And then Excruciator, it won, right? It did well, doubled its meta percentage in the top performing decks. Jeskai Control did well. Esper Pixie did fine. There was not a lot of them to begin with, but there were a certain number of people playing them. I know Seth Manfield was playing Esper Pixie, which I guess it's good against Nature's Rhythm. And then it also has like this mid-range kind of deal with everything type of style.
Yeah, I was surprised to see the number of people playing it. Then Jim Davis was on it too, so I guess their team was on it,
Yeah.
or some of their team.
Teamer Harmonizer, right? Very strong performance. Breakout deck. Excuse me. Breakout deck. Again, in the finals, solid conversion from day one into the best performing decks from 1.6 to 4%. Very good. Azorius Control also had a positive conversion. Um, Demir Control. I know Reed Duke, Gabe Nassif, Edgar Magayesh. I'm sure a number of other like Chandler Fireball were playing that deck, which explains this strong conversion in the top constructed decks as well. I'm sure it's pretty good against Nature's Rhythm, spot removal, counter spells, and sweeper in the form of Deadly Dispute. Mono Red is one that's really standing out to me here. All of the mono red, I think that there were 2 mono red decks in the entire PT. I'm gonna pull up.
Yeah, there was two. That
Yeah,
70% win rate.
2 mono red decks. Is there any other kind of? So there's Boros Dragons. Oh, there was Boros Aggro. And then is it burn? Yeah, but again, both mono red decks converted into the best performing constructed decks. So very strong performance by mono red in that regard. But I just think that people weren't really prepared for mono red. They just, it hasn't really gotten any worse than it had been in the past. It's still playing the same key decks. I mean, that mono red was the deck that people were rooting behind to beat Vivi Cauldron before Vivi got banned.
Yep.
And it hasn't really changed much from that. So I think that this shows that we got to respect mono red a little bit. And then Azorius Aggro Rakdos Monument, those decks did pretty well considering how few of them were represented in the tournament.
Yeah, so I'll run through those numbers real quick.
Yeah.
Uh, so the best win percentage decks from the Pro Tour, right? We have Azorius Tempo with 2 copies, 75% win rate. Demir Control had 3 copies, 70% win rate. Mono Red, like we just talked about, 2 copies, 70%. Is it Spelementals? 15 copies, 68% win rate. Rakdos Monument had 2 copies, 65% win rate. Teamer Harmonizer, 5 copies, 63.5%. Bant Omniscience, 2 copies, 61.5%. Grixis Elementals, 7 copies for 61.5%. Blue White Control had 4 for 60%. And Selesnya Landfall had 1 copy at 60%. And then Simic Rhythm and Bant Rhythm, 45% and 42% respectively.
Yeah. So.
And Bant Airbending, 44%.
Where were you pulling that data from?
This is from Optimus Tom.
And so did he have it sorted by win rate?
Yeah, so that's just the highest win rate decks.
Okay.
And then I have the whole chart also with all the win rates.
Oh, like the win rate matrix.
Yeah, so it has
Yeah.
listed by the number of decks, highest to lowest, and then their win rates.
Yeah. Yeah, so Demir Control, Azorius Tempo had some of the highest win rates, but not a lot of people playing those
Yeah.
decks. So
Yeah, with decks with 7 or more copies, we'll go with Spelementals, Grixis Elementals, and Excruciator, the 3 highest win rates.
yeah. So I think going into Milwaukee and starting our preparation for that tournament, which is a little more than 2 weeks away, we discussed during testing yesterday that we were trying to get a feel for what we should have in our gauntlet, and what matchups did we need to understand, and we also were kind of guesstimating how we thought the metagame breakdown would change, from Portland to Richmond, and then based on the results of Richmond, how it would shift again to Milwaukee. And we thought that about 20% of the field would be Nature's Rhythm versus the 35% at Richmond. Is that fair to say?
Yeah, I still think it'll be widely played, just not as widely played.
Yeah, we think Lessons is going to rebound a little bit. We think that will see a push back up. We just think that it has a good matchup against the field that are kind of preying on these rhythm decks. Like all these other decks that have shown up, we think that Is it Lessons with Demir Excruciator in particular, Spelementals, a number of those kinds of decks, we think it does okay. And it does okay against Simic as well, right? Like just a bunch of spot removal. And then Pyroclasms out of the board should do fine against Nature's Rhythm decks, right? For Is It Lessons.
You would think.
Yeah. I know we've kind of talked about that. And then we
That's
expect.
not, it's not what the record has shown from the past events, but
Yeah. So we think airbending is going to stay about the same, 8%. Um, we think Reanimator is going to drop way down from 10%. We expect its meta share to be cut in half to about 5%. Um, and then some of the decks that we expect to see more of, obviously Excruciator, we have that to be 5 to 8%. I don't think people have a ton of faith in it. It's a very odd deck to play, but it reminds me very much of the Inverter of Truth Thassa's Oracle combo from Pioneer. It has a very similar kind of style. Just make your opponent discard all their cards. Duresses out of the board, Deceits, and then just a lot of card advantage and stock up and Winter Night Stories and Avarice. Was Insatiable Avarice. Just draw 3, lose 3, right?
yeah, target player draws 3, lose 3. I also got some tech for the mirror, so I'll talk about that when we get closer to the event.
Okay. All right, I'm excited to hear about that. I think that Elementals is also going to see an increase in its various forms. I know that there's a little bit of difference in how you're going to want to see that, how you're going to want to play and prepare for those kinds of lists. I think you have two camps. I think you have like the multicolored list, one similar to Eduardo Sagelic's list, and then you have the scam variants that did well in their win rate, but there really weren't that many of them in the best performing decks of the PT that had 19 or more points. So, um,
Yeah,
but
which
I
is
think,
great because there was 7 copies of Grixis Elementals with a 61% win rate, right?
yeah,
So
yeah. Obviously, they did bad in limited. I guess I don't know, but
I'd expect to see more of that deck also.
yeah. Um, but still, so there would have been 10 rounds of constructed. So 61% win rate is literally just at 18 wins. Um, or 18 points. I'm sorry, six wins. So 60% win rate is 18 points. Would have been just below the threshold if that's averaged out, right?
Right.
Um, but there were a couple of the superior elementals Grixis list, in there. Um, so I think that we'll see an increase in that. I also think we'll see an increase in control, um, because control had a good. I think it has a pretty decent matchup against um, Excruciator. I think that if you play it well, um, it's maybe a little bit better. But I think that Balaka, I can't remember the Italian who made top 8 with Jeskai Control. I can't remember his first name. Marco.
Yeah.
Marco Balaka 3-0'd Luis Salvato, who's, player of the year from 5-6 years ago. Uh, he's won a Pro Tour in the past, multi-time, top finisher. To 3-0 him, and I'm not trying to say Marco Balaka is like a no-name nobody. I don't really, I've never heard of him before, but um, if I'm not mistaken, that was his first PT. He was playing lights out. He was the only undefeated at the end of day one. Um, but to beat him so, convincingly, I think there's got to be something to that with at least Marco Balaka's version of Jeskai Control against Excruciator. So I think that because of that, we'll see a little bit of an increase.
Yeah, I unfortunately didn't get to see that match, but
Yeah, you have
his
to go back
that
and
was
watch it. I thought it was pretty good.
that was a crazy story, right? He went started 10-0, lost 4 winning ends
Yeah, yeah,
or two,
crazy.
3 winning it something,
Yeah. Um,
and then
we
got
also,
in on tiebreakers in the last round.
yeah, yeah. Is that it? Is that how he got it?
I
Yeah,
think
that's
so. Yeah.
crazy. But yeah, good for him. I mean, I thought it was pretty good. And then I think Harmonizer, we're going to see an uptick in that list as well, 3 to 5%. You think that's fair, Pete?
Yeah, that's fair.
Spelementals, I think that um, we will probably see a little bit of a decrease when people start to realize how to play against that deck. And as some of these other more popular decks start to increase in meta share in the MTGO challenges over the course of the next 2 weeks, I think that by the time we get to the RC Milwaukee, Spell Elementals will be, a 3% deck. But
Yeah, I think straight elementals is
it's
just better.
better. I think so too. Yeah, I mean, again, these is it decks, whether it's is it it's Phoenix and Pioneer, or even is it Lessons, this deck is kind of a similar setup. A lot of cantrips, a lot of consistent ways to find your threats and make them be hyper efficient in terms of their cost. But there are draws that are full of air, and if your opponents can focus on dealing with the few threats that you do present, it's very hard, I think, for them to close it out. Or if you just have like if you put a rest in peace on the battlefield, they cannot deal with it, right? Like rest in peace just totally finishes them.
Yeah, yeah.
They
Then they
can't play a nine. You're not going to be able to put an Eddie Merc crab onto the battlefield in any kind of reasonable time, nor a Hearth Elemental, and you don't have enough spot removal to deal with everything. So I just think that um, if you target their graveyard, they can't possibly win. Um, but
Yeah, I'm excited to see what happens with this monument list. We need to talk to Miles.
oh, about Rakdos Monument,
Yeah.
yeah, we'll see. We'll see. I mean, I think it has like a good B plan or A plan. I think its A plan is like just aggro your opponent, get a bunch of card advantage off of Inti,
Yeah.
and then it's like, oh, we're playing Monument as like another source of advantage. So yeah, and then I think mono white tokens, looting, mono red. I think mono red might see an increase too. Omniscience, like Azorius aggro, Azorius flash. Um,
Yeah.
some of
What
these
did
other decks, mono green landfall. I think mono green landfalls will still see um, a good chunk of the meta as well, a few percent.
right? That's just another harmonizer deck anyway, right?
Well,
Are they playing
yeah,
that
I mean,
still?
it basically is a harmonizer deck. Um, if your opponent taps out and excuse me, if your opponent taps out and you have multiple attackers and you have multiple fetches in play, or if you have like a Ice Tail Explorer that you can just like pump all your team up pretty crazy.
Yeah. And you get an Earthbender's Ascension and Earthbending Ascension and an Ice Till out. Pretty
Yeah,
hard to deal with. So, mono green and Selesnya, we'll still see a bunch of that.
yeah,
Omniscience, I think what Jody Keith got 19th.
yes. He was the only Omniscience deck, if I'm not mistaken, in the top decks. So we'll have to see. But I think our gauntlet is going to include a rhythm deck, lessons, airbending, excruciator, um, 4 or 5 color elementals, uh,
Control.
control, um, Scott has
Demir,
Reanimator built, and then we
Demir.
Demir mid, and then we also want to test against Teamer Harmonizer, right?
Yeah,
Okay.
I don't think we need to really test against Rhythm.
You think we need to?
We don't need to.
No.
You
Even
do.
though
You do.
I do.
Yeah, I'm good. I'm good.
Yeah, you're just gonna crush it.
I don't even sideboard.
No. You seriously don't on Excruciator? You don't sideboard? You just keep jamming?
Yeah, I'll bring
No,
in
you
two
bring in
cards.
a couple
I'll bring it.
shoot the
Bring it
sheriff.
two. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So so what are you playing for Milwaukee?
95% to be playing Excruciator.
Yeah. What's your backup plan?
My backup plan is just to not go.
Stay home.
Stay home. No, my backup plan would be Demir mid.
Yeah, and I think Demir Mid is going to see a little bit of an increase in its meta share because I think Demir Mid has it's still not bad. You know what I mean? It's still
Yeah,
just a
it's
good
just
deck. It just Kaido just does its thing, right? Like
yeah. If you get a turn three Kaido against any of these control decks, you're in pretty good shape.
yeah.
Or
So
play one of
we'll have to
these
see.
Is It decks.
Yeah.
But uh, but I'm leaning Excruciator. I've been playing jamming it since Friday. Having a lot of fun with it.
Okay.
Finding new lines, finding new tech. It's been pretty fun.
Yeah. So what do you think's going to win Milwaukee? You,
What,
Archer.
Milwaukee?
Let's go. Yeah.
Me on Excruciator.
Boom. Let's go. Yeah, I like Harmonizer. I think that just get it done, right? Interact, card advantage, can still play like a mid range ish game plan. Um, it just seems like such a solid list too.
Yeah, I just love turn two Deceit, turn three something, stock up, Winter Night, turn four Spider Man, bounce your thing, Deceit. It's just felt great. And then post board I have 10, what is it, 9 or 10 Thoughtseize effects. 11.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean Earthbender's Ascension, it's got Might Form Harmonizer, Ice Toe Explorer, Wistfulness, and then it's got a couple Bossing Say as like ways to, you know.
Oh, I just changed my mind actually. If I don't play Excruciator, I'll play Rakdos Monument.
Oh yeah, you got the cards for it.
Yeah, I work at a card shop.
I did not sleep well last night, dude. I was up way too late.
I
What do you
slept
think,
great.
Pete? Any
I
you
slept
slept
great.
good?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I didn't even wake my wife up telling her I loved her because I thought I was gonna die again.
Yeah, dude. Stay away from the gas station
No.
caffeine, dude.
Yep.
Stay away from the gas station caffeine. It's gonna make you ill. So yeah,
Um,
we'll have more about our testing as we go forward. I think we just really wanted to recap today and talk a little bit about how to project forward, how things are going to look, what people are thinking about. Um,
yeah, I just think Standard's in a really great spot right now, right?
yeah, I mean it. I'm kind of going. I was just thinking about that when we were talking. I remember standard of old. There was like 4 or 5 decks, right? but a lot of that was because there was only 2 years worth of sets to deal with. And how many sets are in standard right now? Like 17 or something like that.
Yeah, it's like closer to 20, I think.
Yeah, it's that's like usually there's 7 sets in standard. It's
Right.
literally 3 times that. This is like Pioneer. This is Pioneer basically. Like look at the number of decks we got here
Yeah.
that are all in contention. There was
Yeah, I think,
7 unique archetypes in the top 8 of the Pro Tour for
which is great.
standard. That's crazy. Usually it's like 4, maybe 5, and sometimes it's like 3. There's 3 archetypes.
Yeah, is that better though?
Yeah,
Like,
I don't have a problem with it. I'm just trying to I'm just this is not this just doesn't feel like standard to me. Of how I used to play standard.
right, it's
Um,
not. It's not,
it's
right?
this
We're gonna
is
we're
this
gonna
is
have
Pioneer.
23. We're gonna have like 23 sets before rotation, 4,000 cards in standard card pool.
Yeah, they're
Um,
really releasing sets at a clip. You know,
yeah.
I mean, the release schedule used to be 3 sets a year with a core set each year.
Yep.
You know what I mean? And
Now we're
then
getting 7 sets this year.
6, 7 sets a year, dude.
6, 7 sets a
That
year, you said?
that are going to be legal and standard. They would have for a while. They would do 3 standard sets, a core set, and then they would do a master set and
Right.
something else, like a commander set or an unset, like unglued. What do you know what I mean? And so they
That
were
was
still
definitely
doing
more
6 sets a year.
manageable. Definitely
Right.
more manageable on the
Yeah.
player side.
But looking at this meta breakdown, it's like, dude, what? I mean, it's great. This is an extremely healthy standard format, in my opinion, especially because Nature's Rhythm. We were like, Badgermole Cub is broken. This is insane. The RC in Portland looked really lopsided. A lot of Nature's Rhythm decks in top 8, and then only one made it in the top 8 of the Pro Tour. So I think it's very healthy, and I think that the reaction that everybody was able to have is great. So, um,
Yeah.
we'll see.
Yeah. I was happy to see that. Because I remember what we were talking. Oh, if it's 8 Badger Mold decks, then we're going to have to ban something. But it looks like Magic players are smart enough to figure out ways to beat decks.
Yeah. Well, hey, brother. I think we're through here. Would you say you got any other golden
Uh,
nuggets you want to share with us?
no, no, just go to the Golden Nugget if you go to Atlantic City.
Okay. There's one in
But
Vegas too, old Vegas.
yeah, no, no, I'm just excited for Milwaukee. Excited to do some more testing. Need to talk to Miles because I really like that Rakdos list. And other than that, just keep grinding.
Keep grinding, indeed. Well, hey, uh, look for us on Spotify, YouTube. We're out there on the tweeters. We're on Blue Sky, My Guys Magic Podcast.
Yep.
Take a look,
Twitter,
hit us up.
My Guys Magic Podcast everywhere. Find us
Yeah,
on the streets of Arena.
crushing, crushing souls. We'll have more next week discussing our playtesting. And yeah, good luck.
All right, my guys. See y'all next week.